The greatest challenge facing Matt Campbell in 2026 isn't just winning games on Saturday, it's winning a living room on Wednesday. For a decade at Iowa State, Campbell thrived on a very specific type of player, the three-star scars. These were the overlooked kids with high motors and physical frames that could be molded over 4 years of development. But as he walks the halls of the Lash building, the metric for success has shifted overnight. In State College, if you aren't landing top 10 national classes, the fan base doesn't just get restless, they start to get loud. The central question of the Campbell era is simple. Can a developmental coach learn to be a closer for the elite? Scaling the process means moving from finding diamonds in the rough to securing the crown jewels of the Atlantic coast. To understand if the plan is working, we have to look at the quarterback room first. While Campbell brought Rocco Beck with him from Ames to stabilize the present, the future of the program rests on a 6'5" unicorn from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, Peyton Falzone. Falzone is the most important recruit in the 2026 cycle for one reason. He's the ultimate traits prospect. With 11-inch hands and a 4.6 range on the 40-yard dash, he has the physical profile that NFL scouts drool over. But his journey to Penn State was a roller coaster. He committed to Virginia Tech, then Penn State, then Auburn, before finally flipping back to Happy Valley once Campbell was in place. Falzone represents the bridge between the old and the new. He is an in-state star, but he isn't a safe project. He is a high-ceiling weapon. His trainer, Brad Mandler, the same man who worked with Drew Aller, as we are familiar with, called him the most physically gifted quarterback he's ever had. For Campbell, Falzone is a test case. Can he take a raw athlete with elite traits and turn him into a Heisman-caliber signal caller? If Falzone hits, the Ames process has officially evolved. If he doesn't, the critics will say Campbell is just chasing projects. Now, if Falzone is the foundation of the 2026 class, then Kemon Spell is the ceiling for 2027. Spell is a consensus 5-star talent and arguably the most explosive running back in the nation. He is the exact type of player that Penn State must land to compete with the Oregons and the Ohio States of the world. But the battle for Spell has become a microcosm of the hurdle Campbell faces. Spell was an early commit to the previous staff, but the uncertainty of the coaching change led him to look south, eventually pledging to Georgia. Now Campbell is a veteran recruiter Terry Smith are in an all-out flip watch to bring the McKeesport native back home. Winning this battle isn't just about a running back. It's about a statement of intent. It's about proving that Matt Campbell can go into a room against Kirby Smart and come out with a yes. Now we have to talk about the money, because in 2026, culture has a price tag. Reports indicate that the administration and the Happy Valley United Collective have committed roughly $30 million in NIL funding to support Campbell's vision. This is a staggering amount of capital, more than Campbell has seen in his entire career combined probably at Iowa State. The hurdle is how he chooses to deploy it. Is he using NIL as transactional tool to buy the biggest stars on the open market? Or is he sticking to his culture first guns, using money to reward development and retain the veterans? The danger is the NIL paradox. If you spend too much on the newcomers, you alienate those who built the locker room. But if you don't spend enough, you lose the stars like Kemon Spell to the SEC. Campbell has been vocal about wanting players who want to be here for the right reasons. But he is learning that those reasons often include a competitive market rate paycheck. Now for the philosophy shift. The stars versus scars debate is the defining friction point of this offseason. Under the previous regime, Penn State was a star program. They sold the brand, they sold the uniforms, and the NFL potential. Campbell is a star coach. He sells the work, the grit, and the collective. The concern is Campbell's evaluation first philosophy might lead him to pass on a 5-star players who don't fit perfectly with his blue-collar mold. At Penn State, that philosophy is a gamble. The talent gap between top 3 and the rest of the country is almost entirely composed of those elite but difficult recruits. If Campbell ignores the 5-star divas entirely, he might build a team that is incredibly tough and simply not talented enough to beat Ohio State in November. He has to prove that his process can handle a locker room with massive egos and even bigger bank accounts. While high school recruiting is the future, the transfer portal is the present. Campbell has used the portal strategically to bring in culture carriers. By bringing guys like Rocco Becht and Benjamin Brahmer from the Ames, he isn't just adding talent, he's adding assistant coaches and pads. These players already know the Ames process. They act as the bridge between the old Penn State and the new. However, the hurdle here is perception. If the portal additions are seen as mid-tier Big 12 players rather than elite Big 10 upgrades, then the pressure will mount. The fan base wants to see Penn State using its $30 million to poach All-Americans from Alabama, not just starters from Iowa State. The ultimate litmus test for Campbell's recruiting will be the I-80 corridor. For years, Penn State has watched as the best talent in Pennsylvania and Ohio has been siphoned off. Campbell's hiring was a direct shot at reclaiming this territory. Because he is a Massilian native, he speaks the language of high school coaches in these regions. His mission is to make Penn State the default choice for every elite player within a 6-hour drive to State College. If he can secure the local Tier 1 talent, the Peyton Falzones, the Kemon Spells, he doesn't need to fly to California or Florida to fill out his roster. He can build a championship caliber team using the Rust Belt as his engine. Finally, we have to look at the Campbell himself. Being a head coach at Penn State is a 24/7 sales job. At Iowa State, Campbell could afford to be a bit more private. At Penn State, he's the face of a multi-billion-dollar brand. Recruits today want to see the head coach as a celebrity. They want the TikToks, the flashy photo shoots. Campbell's challenge is going to be lean into that modern side of recruiting without losing the authentic soul that made him successful. If he stays too far in the old school lane, he risks being outmarketed by coaches like Dan Lanning or Lincoln Riley. He has to hire an elite staff that can handle the flash, allowing him to be the substance that closes the deal. The Matt Campbell era at Penn State is a fascinating experiment in scaling excellence. We have seen coaches succeed at the developmental level only to be crushed by the weight of expectations out of blue blood. But Campbell feels different. He knows the hurdles. He knows that his blue-collar culture will be tested by $30 million in NIL money and 5-star egos. The pivot from Iowa State to Penn State is the ultimate test in his philosophy. If he can land the stars like Peyton Falzone while keeping the scars, he won't just be the man who broke the 11-win ceiling. He'll be the man who redefined what it means to be a powerhouse in the 18-team Big Ten. The eyes of the conference are now on State College. The Ames process is evolving. The Happy Valley pivot is in full swing. And Matt Campbell, the time for doing more with less is officially over. Now it's about doing everything with everything. Welcome to the new era. Thank you for watching Saturday in Happy Valley.